I have no idea how nutty this video is going to come off, but it's a couple ideas and thoughts that I've been swirling around for the past week or two, videos I've come across that I want to talk to you guys about fucking trees. Trees. Alright. Okay, so I got to thinking with all this stuff I'm looking into about trees and how they're living things, they've been on this earth a lot longer than humans. So how come the oldest tree that we really know are like the California redwoods here in America, and that's what, like 600 years old, I want to say? And then I think in Greece there's like the olive trees that are like 1200 years old. I want to go with those are like the oldest trees we know of, 1200 years. But if you really think about it, I mean, where are the trees that are older than that? How come we don't know of trees that were older than that? How come there's not like ancient stories and tales about trees? And then you kind of dig into this stuff and there actually are. And we call them like fairy tales or fables, you know, like Jack and the Beanstalk and stuff like that. But that stuff's real. The tree in Avatar, the tree of, I'm not sure if it's the tree of knowledge or whatever, but that main tree where they all hook up their memories, that would be what I'm talking about. Like, it's told to us in fables and limericks and made to seem like this far-fetched idea. But wouldn't it make more sense that it was reality, that we had these massive trees that would have made redwoods seem like miniature branches? And then dig even further and you come to find that if a tree was left alone and not cut down, the probability of us having ginormous trees would be high, because many people also talk about how humans should be living in trees. I've seen a lot of people talking about how humanity should have evolved to go up into the trees. We would have dealt with less predators, and we also would have been living with nature. It's probably where the plan was supposed to go. And if you think about that, I did learn from Dr. Robert Morse, ND, humans eat fruit from trees because of the high vibrations in the food, but also it keeps that food away from lower vibrational dwelling animals. So we're meant to get the higher vibration. We're meant to have the more enlightened life here on Earth. We're a species that is capable of thinking and dealing with emotion and thought like that. We should be higher up, and if you think about that, that makes total sense. Us living in these ginormous trees, we could have communities up there. It doesn't seem as far-fetched if we wouldn't chop trees down to then build houses, which also connects it to a lot of that Saturnic and Luciferian energy people are talking about with CERN, and with many religions such as Christianity being condemned all the while. Sin is just like super encouraged. You do see that. You don't even have to be religious to see that. I don't consider myself religious at all. I don't connect with any one religion. I just love thinking about this stuff because to me it's fascinating. Why is everything inverted? Like, it just seems really weird. I was watching somebody speak about how instead of living in the trees, man cuts trees down and builds our homes out of it, as kind of laughing in the face of nature. It's weird when you think about stuff like that. Like, why do we do that? It's interesting. What if we would have evolved to be a species that lived in the trees? What if we learned to climb trees, and what if we learned those skills at a very young age and we could survive in a completely different reality? I mean, that's where this stuff leads to. We'd be more harmonious with nature. We'd value nature so much more, and we wouldn't be putting any effort into fucking fossil fuels and shit like that. We would be using free natural energy. And all of this stuff seems related to me. I mean, this just came from me questioning, where the fuck are older trees? Like, why do we never question where are ancient trees? Why aren't there just massive fucking structures? And then there's also this community of people who are getting into another conspiracy. Just open a new notebook page for another event. I'm getting so tired of hearing the word conspiracy at this point. It's like everything you could talk about. Everything you could talk about could potentially be a conspiracy, in my opinion, from what I'm learning. But it's interesting because some people think, like, mountains aren't real, they're actually trees that were chopped down. And then there's other theories, and get it, I know, far-fetched for us to believe, but we've been brought up in such a controlled environment under an education, and that's just an indoctrination into what they want us to believe. Like, alright, give a little pushback. try it, you know? I'm not saying believe anything and, you know, do your own research for sure. I would never tell anyone just to trust what I'm saying. I mean, this took me a lot of digging, and I'm nowhere near done. I don't believe in any of this. I challenge myself to understand why would I push back against it. It's no more crazy than what I've been told. That's all I'm saying. And these people who believe that mountains were once trees that were just chopped down, it does connect to the Jack and the Beanstalk theory that a stalk or a tree would climb the atmosphere up to the firmament, and then you could see beyond this fake reality. It's like Plato's cave, where it's just shadows behind somebody and you see it on the wall and you think that's reality, but once you get past it you understand, whoa, I never knew reality. It's kind of what this is. If something natural from the earth was able to take us past the firmament, we would be full of knowledge. We would understand that we're just in this construct. We're in this environment that's being created probably within ourselves. It's completely nutty. And then you think about it, the head bitch tree would have been at the North Pole, and that could potentially be the Garden of Eden, with the tree of life being the biggest tree in Earth, in the world, because it would have sunlight 100% of the time. It would be constant daylight there, because with the way the sun rotates around the Earth, I'm trying to figure out what shape it is. When it's doing that, it would be constant sunlight on the North Pole, and with that being just a giant ice rock right now, it's all curious. I'm curious about everything. There's people who think it's a hollow Earth where it just goes down in. I'm so curious, but that's for another video. I love challenging these ideas for myself. I love having conversations with friends who are like, of course mountains were not trees, but I love that kind of conversation, because you're just like, but why not? And nobody can ever get past saying, because that's what we grew up learning. You know, like, there's just, challenge yourself. It's interesting. And the more you challenge yourself, I think the more you find out, without anybody steering you in any direction, that you will get enthralled with learning about something that you were deceived by growing up. I think I can put that out there to almost anybody walking on this earth. If you look into some of this stuff, pick a favorite topic of yours, and I guarantee if you dig deep enough, you will find something crazy about it. Like trees. Come on now. Who's looking into trees? But I'm telling you, it's crazy. Look into this stuff. If you think about it, look outside your window or walk to a park or whatever. The tree that you're seeing growing there is what? 50, 75, 100 years old max? Think about that. I mean, people have been around longer than, you know, centuries. So it's like, think back and think how long it takes for that tree to grow, and think what could it potentially be in thousands of years. These are just branches. These are just twigs that we're seeing growing compared to what like an ancient tree should look like. It's just fascinating. And then my boyfriend and I also have had conversations about how you know, as you relate to chakras right here, if we're Earth, like heart chakra, I always think of us as in the fourth chakra, and we think we're living in the third dimension, so we think we're yellow chakra. If you just look at my little yoga buddy, root would be first, that's one-dimensional. Orange is sacral, that's two-dimensional, and then three-dimensional would be yellow, that's sacral chakra. It also deals with ego, and then the mirror wall right above it, firmament, just saying. And I think they have us thinking, and when I say they, it's a very loose term, but I think they have us thinking that in the yellow, that's where we are, there's a mirror wall, you can't go any further. But then I was listening to, it was either Eckhart Tolle or Deepak Chopra, and one of them was talking about how the now, when you're in the now, you're actually in the fourth dimension, because you're dealing with space. You can never get back to that moment. Your past and your future will never deal with your now. Your now can work with space. You can go up and touch objects. You can move things around. You can interact with 3D objects. However, you're in the fourth dimension. Your past was a different dimension. That's gone. It's something you can't get back, and it moves further and further away from you as your future comes closer and closer towards you, because the 2 points can never touch. It's this insane craziness. Meditate, you'll get it. We'll teach each other, okay? But it's interesting. You think about it, fourth chakra. I think Potentially humans are just the 3D version of spirit or consciousness or whatever you want to say, and trees could potentially be the 4D version, and that's what trees on this construct are just like monks in meditation from their 3D self. So like when they were here on Earth in 3D, they were probably monks or something alike that meditated and enlightened to the highest degree, and then morphed, did the 90-degree shift into the next dimension, and physically as matter on this plane, to us it could be represented by trees. That was the whole thought. Holy shit, that took me a long time to explain. I'm sorry if you're bored already. But these are the things that my boyfriend and I do when we get stoned. We just talk about crazy shit like this. So I encourage you, join our conversation, leave comments below. I'm planning a really cool video about a movie I just watched coming up soon. It's taking me a while to edit it. It's for the movie Cube 2. It's really fascinating. It's a great concept. The movie itself, but we're gonna go over it together. It's gonna be fun. Anyway, take care of yourself the rest of the day. Trees. Look around. Nature's fascinating. Anyway, love you. Peace out.